What goes into these outfits that you put together before these games?
Yeah, I think overall, as athletes on the men and women's side, we don't get a whole lot of opportunity to um, kind of be ourselves when it comes to fashion. And I think that, especially with game day fits, how those have become really, really popular across all sports and all leagues, it allows these players to kind of show themselves as individuals.
Hello, welcome to the United Soccer Lounge. My name is Riley James. This is Goals TV, and we're super grateful to have you today on the program. Now, we do the open of this show for a couple of reasons. It's to kind of ease you into an episode, right? If we just jump straight into the interview, it might be disorienting. And really, we have to prepare you for what we're about to do, right? Sometimes it's a funny show and we want to convey that in the open. Sometimes it's a serious show. We want to be able to get you ready for maybe a heavier topic. And a lot of shows have elements of both. So it's my job as a host to get you ready for that. And then we just kind of talk for a justifiable amount of time for all of us to get paid. That's all in play right now. But I know you want to get to the interview. We will get to the interview. But I have to say about Jill Aguilera of Carolina Ascent before we do any of that is that she very well could go into a TV job post soccer. Really great show. She was funny, she was articulate, and she was just brilliant with her answers. And we couldn't be happier to have her on the program today. So Jill Aguilera of Carolina Ascent coming up in just a few moments. But we have to tell you, if you like the show, goals.tv. You can subscribe, like, comment your favorite thing about Carolina Ascent, about Charlotte, North Carolina, about Jill, or just about soccer. Maybe if you've been to Puerto Rico, share your favorite thing about going there, experiencing their culture, and understanding that they're a soccer nation. And that's something Jill talked about on the program with us. So super excited for you to hear it. Our interview with Jill Aguilera starts right now. Please welcome to the show a Puerto Rican international with 13 caps and 4 goals for her island nation. She helped them qualify for their first ever W Gold Cup in 2024. She also spent time with the Chicago Red Stars, 28 appearances with them in the NWSL. She's the all-time leading scorer at Woodside High School. She's the all-time leading scorer at the University of Arizona. And right now, she's the leading assister as a midfielder for the Carolina Ascent. Please welcome to the show, Jill Aguilera. Jill, thank you so much for coming to hang out. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me. I'm doing well.
There's a lot of things I want to get to today. But first and foremost, this comes out right around the start of the second half of the season for you guys. So I'll ask you, how was break? What did you do? Can you tell us anything about your time off?
I mean, honestly, it was a lot of time with friends and family, and that was definitely needed. Um, we did get to go on a trip to Mexico. Unfortunately, I was sick for the majority of the trip. But honestly, it was really great to just spend time with friends and family, relax a little bit, take my mind off the field. And I think that that honestly just really prepared me to come back full swing when we started in January.
Now, when you split the season up like that, obviously it's almost like you're playing two different seasons. It's something we see in a lot of leagues around the world. But as you guys come back, right? You guys sit fourth. You're tied on points for third, but you sit fourth on some tiebreakers. It's a four-team playoff you guys are trying to get into. What were the lessons learned as you played your first 14 games and now you're kind of coming back for a second almost preseason in a sense?
Yeah, I think, I mean, obviously this is the first year of the Super League. All all these teams are new. These are we're coming in players I've never met before, coaches we've never met before, worked with before. So I think there are so many things to learn, and we're still learning those things. And I think we're going to continue to learn those things. But I think obviously we're learning more about each other, and we're learning about how individually we succeed on the field and how we can use those successful attributes, positive attributes about each player, and how to use that on the field to win us games.
Now, yeah, we're going to dip into some soccer over the course of today. And that was, I mean, that's the most elegant answer I think anyone's answered in this podcast in a long time about mindset and about getting prepared for a stretch of games. But The one thing that I'm interested in, and something you and I talked about very briefly before we started the show, is that we were doing some research on Jill. And Jill really, really loves soccer. She loves travel, and she loves wearing these very well put together outfits. And you had an Instagram story just about 20 minutes before we got on there here. It was like this red hoodie that you're wearing now, and it's obviously very fashionably put with some pants. I'm like, oh, that's a cool fit. And then me not thinking about it, you wear this on the show. So I want to give you an opportunity before we dip into the team aspect and all these things about uh, team soccer. What goes into these outfits that you put together before these games?
Yeah, I think overall, as athletes on the men and women's side, we don't get a whole lot of opportunity to um, kind of be ourselves when it comes to fashion. And I think that, especially with game day fits, how those have become really, really popular across all sports and all leagues, it allows these players to kind of show themselves as individuals instead of just being known for their athletic sport. So I love dressing up, especially for game day. I think it's really fun. I mean, sometimes they're just like simple outfits, but feel good, look good, play good is, some what some of my teammates say, and I think that I truly believe that. So I love to put something together whenever I can, just to kind of separate myself from the athlete and feel more myself on days when we're training every single day, having games on the weekends, things like that.
My favorite was the one with the Chicago Bulls shirt.
Yeah,
That was a good one.
yeah, I
Shout out
love
to
that.
the 90s Bulls.
Yeah.
Um, so you guys before the break dropped the last three. You kind of limped to the finish after a really hot start. You've had a lot of time to reflect on this. Obviously, you spent some time away, wanted to kind of, get, like you said, get your mind off the game for a little bit. But now you've come back, you've had time to reflect. How do you analyze what went wrong towards the end, and how are you going to fix that in these first couple games as you come back?
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily something to fix. I think it's something, like you said, to reflect on for sure. And learning from those experiences and growing each day that we train. We don't, you know, the next most important game is the one that's coming up this Saturday, and then the Sunday after that, and then that's what we really focus on, is how we can play our best game of soccer, and win those games as well. Of course, everybody wants to win, and that's unfortunately not the reality of the sport that we play. But I think every single day we are working really hard, grinding to just present the best version of ourselves that we can as often as we can. I feel like that's all that we can really ask for.
And it's funny that you say that, right? The nature of not winning every single game. You've learned this through your career. You've played in the NWSL, obviously a very great amateur career, which we'll get to in a few moments, talking about the University of Arizona and, of course, Woodside High School. I told you we did our research. Um, but 28 appearances with the Chicago Red Stars. You and I kind of talked about that before the show. What about playing at that level with those types of players in that league helped you become the professional that you are your first year in Carolina?
Yeah, I think it was a mixture of things. I definitely had to become more mentally strong. That was, and with the help of a mental performance consultant, my second year at Chicago helped me out with that a lot, taught me about myself and how the mindset that I need to be in to be the most successful on the field, which I still use every single day. Also, talking about self confidence. Sometimes that can come externally from your coaches or your teammates, but really believing in your ability and that you belong where you are is so important on any team that you play at any level, honestly. And then lastly, I would probably say advocating for yourself. And I think that ties a little bit into self confidence and understanding that you do belong wherever you are. You've earned wherever you have gotten yourself, and to advocate for yourself just pushes the fact that you truly believe in your abilities and you're willing to put those out there for everybody to see.
Now, when you signed with Chicago, right? You signed out of college. You were able to make that move up. Talking about self-confidence, talking about the ability to be able to play this game at a professional level. When you got there and you saw who you were playing against and you saw who you were playing with, what was the confidence level walking into Chicago versus walking out?
That's a good question. Walking in, definitely a little starstruck. I feel like any rookie at any point would say, wow, and there were still times like even now where, and I think it's important that I do this, is every once in a while just reflect at, where I am and the amazing people that I get to play with. Um, and just reflecting on how fortunate and privileged I am to be able to do this for a living. Um, and then walking out, again, I think back tying to the self-confidence aspect is leaving Chicago. I love the city of Chicago. My teammates are really great, and I love that. Um, and I felt like walking out, Chicago just wasn't what was best for me at that time. And I truly believed that wherever I was going to be next was where I belonged. And I think that's the mentality I have going into any team that I play for is, you know, it may not work out with one team, but that you could be exactly what you need, what they need for another team. And again, with the self confidence of just being able to show your abilities, advocating for yourself that you do belong and you want to show the world what you're capable of. So
And it's great, right? The USL Super League has provided that same thing for so many players. I've talked to, I mean, I think we're up in the teens now of talking to Super League players who've just come from NWSL experience that have come from straight from college that had, I talked to Erica Timrack of Tampa Bay who had a 13-year career playing not only here in the United States but abroad too. Like the Super League's provided a lot of those things to a lot of those players. And your experience coming over from Chicago to Carolina, I want to give the league an opportunity to get some praise, right? Because partially because I kind of worked for them in a sense, but what has been able to provide for this landscape of American soccer and the women's side of the game, just more opportunity, right? Because roster
absolutely.
spots are so valuable in the NWSL. For this league to pop up and just create so much value in the landscape is great. So you go from Chicago, you arrive in Charlotte. What are you expecting from a USL Super League team that has not kicked the ball? And what did you arrive upon when you got to the Ascent?
I think I didn't really have a whole lot of expectations. I had more goals in mind of obviously winning the USL Super League, which has been a goal since I signed, as well as just creating an amazing culture within our own team. And I think Coach Poole has done a really, really great job of signing players that fit our culture, which honestly has a lot to do with the fact that we can all be ourselves and we're all accepting of one another. We all have weird quirks about each other, but we all embrace that and laugh along with each other. I think that we're all just a very optimistic but realistic group when it comes to being a team in the locker room. Um, yeah,
It's in you hear so many players arrive into this league that have kind of individual goals. I've asked some of the loan players, people that have been loaned down from NWSL. It's like, what do you expect from this time or whatever? And it always kind of comes back to individual success. But when you're in this, you're a member of this team. Obviously, team success is the most important thing, and you guys are certainly positioned to vie for a USL Super League title. So that'll be something to watch the second half of the season. You can catch all the games available on Peacock. Let's go to international duty for a minute. You were born in the United States, but you represent Puerto Rico. You helped them get to their first ever Women's Gold Cup. I've asked people who have played for the Brazilian national team, the U.S. women's national team, so many different things on the men's side. I always get a different answer about what international duty means to them. Jill, what does international duty mean to you?
um, I feel like it means the world to me to be able to represent an island of people with such amazing culture, amazing food, amazing music, such love they have for their island and their people. And now that, we've kind of put ourselves up on a little bit of a stage after the Gold Cup, which was an amazing, unforgettable experience, I think that it just proved to the world, honestly, that we are better than they think we are, or and we're capable of more than what other people thought that we have been capable of. I'm just excited and blessed to be a part of it. And it's just an amazing group of people who just truly love the game. Like we play for a Caribbean federation. The pay is not like the US, it's not like Brazil, it's not, within those same, level of countries. However, these players do it because they love the game and because they love the island that they're from. And I couldn't think of a better reason to want to represent Puerto Rico in that sense.
Now, I have to ask, right? Because it's something you mentioned there that I find interesting is exposure and the ability to not only showcase Puerto Rican soccer to everyone, but also everyone seeing that on their television, seeing that in American stadiums. How much does the exposure of playing in a tournament like that do for a federation like Puerto Rico?
I think it does a lot. I think we surprised a lot of people, which honestly we weren't expecting. Our mentality is always just to win every single game that we play. And going into the Gold Cup, we knew what we were going up against. I mean, even the qualifying game against Haiti, we knew how good of a team Haiti was. They were in the World Cup 2 years ago. And, you know, our goal is really just to put our best selves out there, regardless of the result, and just represent our country and be proud of the country we're representing. So going into the Gold Cup, again, we knew what we were going into. We knew that we were playing Brazil and Panama and Colombia. Those are all great, great teams that have proven themselves time and time again. And now this was our moment to prove ourselves. And I truly felt that we did that. That experience, especially being in California, allowing my family to come see me because they had never seen me play for Puerto Rico before, that was an experience I'll never forget. And I'm so, so grateful to be a part of it.
That's awesome. That's why I love this sport for stuff like that. And
Yeah.
I'm sure they loved it. I'm sure they'll hold that as dearly as you seem to do. You don't have to answer this because I know it's kind of a weird question, but man, scoring a goal internationally versus scoring a goal for the club, there has to be a difference. And which one was more gratifying for you?
Personally, I have never really thought about my individual success when it comes to scoring goals. Like I've always, since high school, like I've never been the ones like I want to score. Like that's not necessarily my mindset. It's like the team. I don't care who scores as long as we're scoring and winning games. I don't care if it's me. I don't care if it's an own goal. Goal is a goal. So like that's always been my mentality. But having doing both, it really is just all about my teammates. Like I have never been one to score a goal and then run off to the corner and celebrate with strangers or things like that. Any goal that I've ever scored that I can think of, I always run right to my teammates because they're the ones who allowed me to be in the position to score the goal that I scored.
Yeah.
It's always about them, and it always will be.
Yeah, you run straight to the assister and
Yeah,
yeah, it's like
exactly.
thanks for that ball. That made it really easy. No,
Yeah.
it's an interesting thing, right? Because you hear a lot of players talk about international duty being like the thing that they play for. But I mean, you've had a lot of experience scoring goals, right? So maybe that just looking for your teammates and that teammate mentality, right? It's such an important thing in this sport, especially since there's only 11 you out there. You all do very different jobs in a sense, so you all kind of need each other. It's one of the most unique things about this sport. So speaking of scoring goals, It's something you apparently love talking about. You're the all-time leading goal scorer at your high school, Woodside High School. You're the all-time leading goal scorer at the University of Arizona. And you have had just a tremendous amount of amateur success. And it's been so great to kind of unearth that from our side and learn about you and what's made you the player that you are in Carolina. So let's go back to the amateur ranks, right? What about being a leader on those teams and being the primary provider on those teams has made you a great leader now into your professional career?
I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that I craved that responsibility. I didn't mind putting it on my shoulders if it meant that it took it off of somebody else's shoulders, that maybe that wasn't their personality. I don't mind being the one who gets called out in the middle of a drill if I mess up. Like, I have no problem with holding that responsibility. Um, and I think as a leader, being able to hold that responsibility, take accountability in any situation, helps me and my team hold accountability for each other and the team as a whole. We win as a team, we lose as a team, but there are certainly individual aspects of the game that maybe people need to take accountability on, or I need to take accountability on. And I think the first step of being a leader is really holding yourself to the highest possible standard and embracing that responsibility, to allow your teammates to shine and allow the goodness of the game to shine through.
That was an excellent answer. And like halfway through that, I'm thinking, Jill, have you ever considered working in television? With
I have not considered that. No.
with your ability to talk with the outfits, I think it's going to be a great post-career avenue for you.
All
Um,
right.
I
I'll
I
start looking that up.
I can't hire you because I don't have any standing at this company, but I can talk to my boss. We can get you a
Yeah,
show.
sounds good.
No, you are fantastic. Thank you so much for hanging
Thanks.
out with us. I will say I've talked to pretty much everyone about the USL Super League girls about the crest that you guys have on your shirts. I think Carolina's, and don't tell anyone I said this because it's the end of the show. No one's here anymore. The Carolinas might be my favorite color wise. I mean, you guys have fantastic, fantastic colors, and I'm sure you guys love
Yeah.
wearing that.
Yeah, we love it. It's really cool, and it's not a design that any of us ever expected. Um, when we first saw the jerseys, we were honestly wowed that a jersey like that could even be made. Um, but we just love wearing those colors, especially in the summer when we're a little more
Oh yeah.
tan. It shines bright with all of us. But truly, our crest and our jerseys, they the club did an amazing job specifically for that first year, of jerseys, and now I can't wait to see what they do next. They set the bar really, really high, right in the beginning. So
And the team across town, the MLS team in Charlotte is just they have fantastic kids as well. Something
mhm.
about that city, right? And we didn't even talk about
Yeah,
Charlotte. I love Charlotte. I know a lot of people love Charlotte. It's really cool. So again, great great jerseys and a really great team you guys have for the
thank you.
Carolina Ascent. I wish you guys all the best. Please stay healthy the rest of the season, and
Yeah, thank
thank
you
you
so
so much.
much.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming to hang out with us. Thank you so much to everyone at Carolina Ascent, and thank you so much to Jill for her time. I meant every word I said. She can do TV tomorrow if she wanted to, but hopefully she plays as long as she wants and a while in the USL Super League. So, again, shout out to everyone. If you're watching the show for the first time, if you're a fan of Carolina Ascent or just found us via the internet, thank you so much for watching. Thank you also for sticking all the way to the end of the show. If you'd like to get in touch with us on the internet, you can at RileyJamesIAC on X and Instagram. The show has an Instagram account at USL on Goals. The parent company is goals.tv on Instagram, at goals_TV on X. And you can find many great creators covering the world of soccer, as well as the entire catalog of this show at www.goals.tv. That will do it for us. Thank you again so much for watching our show. For Jill Aguilera, I'm Riley James. If anyone cares, we'll see you again next week.